Smart City tidak hanya bicara teknologi atau anggaran APBD semata, tapi bagaimana membangun ekosistem kota cerdas dengan masyarakat sebagai co-creator dan pemerintah sebagai kolaborator. Maka dari itu, Jakarta menerapkan Smart City 4.0 Framework sebagai landasan dan kerangka dalam mewujudkan Jakarta yang maju kotanya, bahagia warganya. 4 prinsip utama Jakarta Smart City: Mobile First, System and Data Driven, Digital Experience, Smart Collaboration. 4 prinsip tersebut terimplementasi dalam platform Jaki, super apps Jakarta yang mengintegrasikan berbagai layanan digital dan informasi resmi Pemprov DKI Jakarta. Mobile First, Jaki menerapkan konsep Citizen Design Services, di mana Jaki dikembangkan berdasarkan kebutuhan warga dengan mengintegrasikan berbagai layanan pemerintah dan masyarakat. System and Data Driven, berbagai layanan dan fitur dalam Jaki menghasilkan beragam data yang dapat membantu pemerintah dalam melakukan pengawasan berdasarkan laporan yang disampaikan oleh warga sebagai bagian dari kebijakan dan intervensi berbasis data. Digital Experience, implementasi di dalam Jaki dapat mendorong akselerasi transformasi digital di berbagai sektor publik. Melalui Jaki, masyarakat hanya membutuhkan waktu sekitar 1-2 menit untuk melaporkan permasalahan kota. Selama pandemi, pengawasan kapasitas gedung berbasis QR Code di Jakarta dapat dilakukan secara efektif. Warga dapat mengetahui kapasitas gedung atau lokasi di Jakarta untuk menghindari penyebaran COVID-19. Melalui Jaki, warga dapat menggunakan fitur Jak CLM untuk melakukan uji mandiri COVID-19 menggunakan teknologi berbasis machine learning. Warga juga bisa memberikan feedback terhadap pelayanan publik di Jakarta melalui survei kepuasan masyarakat yang dilakukan setiap 3 bulan sekali pada platform Jaki. Smart Collaborations, melalui prinsip ini, Jakarta Smart City mengajak seluruh warga Jakarta untuk berkolaborasi dalam meningkatkan pelayanan publik di Jakarta. Sebuah implementasi pengembangan kolaborasi yang berkelanjutan untuk memberikan layanan yang terbaik untuk warga Jakarta dan sekitar. Salah satu implementasi Smart Collaborations adalah melalui program Future City Hackathon, di mana 10 startup terbaik akan bekerja sama dan berkolaborasi dalam memberikan pelayanan publik melalui platform Jaki. Bentuk kolaborasi lain yang dikembangkan selama pandemi COVID-19 adalah kolaborasi dengan lebih dari 5 startup dalam mengembangkan fitur di dalam Jaki untuk menghadapi pandemi. Selain melalui Jaki, Pemprov DKI Jakarta juga menyediakan platform Jakarta Tanggap COVID-19 di corona.jakarta.go.id. Kumpulan data dan informasi akurat yang dapat menjadi salah satu faktor penting dalam upaya penanganan pandemi COVID-19. Melalui platform ini, masyarakat bisa mengetahui berbagai informasi resmi terkait COVID-19 di Jakarta. Kolaborasi dan integrasi melalui Jaki telah memberikan berbagai manfaat yang telah dirasakan oleh masyarakat, khususnya warga Jakarta. Bersama, kita kembangkan ekosistem kota cerdas dengan pemanfaatan teknologi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Governor of Jakarta, Bapak Haji Anies Rashid Baswedan, SAMPP PhD, the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, Ms. Sausan Shebli, the representatives from Jakarta Smart City, European Union, Smart Change, Startup Support Organizations, and to all of our media partners, distinguished guests and participants. And welcome to the launch of Program Designers Lab, building a stronger and integrated ecosystem support for startups in Jakarta. Good afternoon, my name is Sarah Wei, and it is an honor for me to become your Master of Ceremony and also moderator for today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, Program Designers Lab, or PDL, is a training tool for startup support organizations to implement entrepreneurship programs for startups in Jakarta. This is part of the Smart Change activities, a project implemented jointly by the Jakarta provincial government and also the state government of Berlin, funded by the European Union. Jakarta and Berlin are committed to improving integrated urban development through their city partnership. This partnership also supports the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development by accelerating digital transformation and also the Smart City 4.0 transformation program of Jakarta. The program Designers Lab is organized in collaboration with Prasetia Dwidharma and Ecoxyztem, which have conducted 3 series of focus group discussions with a total of 23 startup support organizations, starting from the startup incubators, accelerators, entrepreneurship hub or community, university-based incubators, up to the governmental incubator as the participants. And we are mindful of the current unprecedented situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. The launch of the program Designers Lab is fully conducted online through Zoom and also live streaming from Ecoxyztem and Prasetia YouTube channel. This launch aims to strengthen the integration of the startup ecosystem support and also the stakeholders before we move forward toward the 3 series of the bootcamp, certification, and also the demo days from September until November 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the program Designers Lab today will have 2 sessions. The first session will be the keynote speech which will be presented by the Governor of Jakarta and also the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, along with officially launching this program. Then after that, we will have a discussion panel from 3 speakers who are the representatives of Jakarta Smart City, Smart Change, and also Prasetia Dwidharma. Therefore, we'd like to encourage your participation through Zoom chat box to give your support and also your opinions about the startup ecosystem in Jakarta, and also to please keep your question and answer for the question and answer session at the end of the discussion panel, which we will be having later on today. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to kindly invite Bapak Haji Anies Rashid Baswedan, SA MPP PhD, the Governor of Jakarta, to kindly please give the keynote speech for us today to officially launch the program Designers Lab today. Bapak Anies Baswedan, the time and screen is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, Sausan Shebli, Secretary, Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, Mr. Judhistira Nugraha, Director of Jakarta Smart City, Bapak Surya Darmadi, the entrepreneurship expert at Smart Change, representative of European Union, Smart Change, Startup Support Organization, and Ecosystem as the organizer of the program's Designers Lab. And ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and greetings from the capital city of Indonesia. It is indeed an honor and privilege for us here in Jakarta to participate in this program, and allow me to extend my appreciations for the Jakarta-Berlin Sister City Partnership that has given productive exchanges and collaborations that have resulted not only in concrete activities for both cities, but also it has opened up opportunities and inspirations, especially for us here in Jakarta. So, Ms. Shebli, allow me to extend our appreciations to the city government of Berlin, and we do hope this partnership not only continue, but strengthen. And this opportunity allow me to share the experience of Jakarta in undergoing the pandemic that people across the globe were facing. The COVID-19 pandemic that we have all experienced for almost 2 years by now has also affected micro, small, and medium enterprises. And it is indeed put pressure, stresses that had never experienced before. In the past, whenever we're dealing with currency crisis or financial crisis or even economic crisis, there is always components of miscalculations in terms of business projection, in terms of business decision. This time, the crisis was, in a quote, created because we stop ourselves from exchanges in the market. We stop our interactions, we minimize our mobility. So the kind of crisis is both sides. The demand side is reduced significantly, and also the supply side is reduced significantly. So it is a situation in which the micro, small, and medium enterprises are facing new kind of crisis. And during this trying period, Jakarta realized that we had to provide an ecosystem that is fertile enough for everyone who are players in the micro, small, and medium-sized business activity to grow, recover much faster. Allow me to share here that Jakarta, with the populations of no less than 11 million, we have around 1.1 million of small micro businesses. And it is the activities that drive the city's economy. No less than 94% of our market players will come from the small, medium, and micro. So the numbers is significantly important. And we had created a program called Jakpreneur, in which we have trained, we have opened up channels for these participants in our Jakpreneurs small business development program to connect to the market, to be able to get finance, and to be able to reach government as end markets. And we have no less than 140,000 members by end of 2020. And I think we have a little bit more by now. And they have been assisted, they have been facilitated to be able to reach market, to reach financial institutions, and able to grow. Now, during the period of the pandemic, we tried to create a platform that allow them to grow much faster. So we do hope that through these collaborations, through these cooperations, that we're able to provide an ecosystem for startups, notably the medium, small, and micro enterprises, to grow much faster. And as we know that often potentials are available, opportunities were also there, but connecting between potentials to create opportunity requires an ecosystem. So we do hope that through these cooperations, through the building of stronger and integrated ecosystem support for startups in Jakarta, we will see them grow much faster. Here in Jakarta, we try to provide all the necessary support from our side and the government side to make sure that any regulations, any permit related is designed to make them grow faster, to make them able to recover much easier. And we also understand this is a very trying times for so many of us, because the demand itself need to be created. So from our side, we in government is playing role to push further the upgrading, enlargement of demands that hopefully it can trigger further supply, and that also means opportunity for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we do hope this partnership, this engagement between micro, small, and medium enterprises and government is strengthened, and hopefully through this collaborations, we will have a better ecosystem that support startups in Jakarta. And hopefully there are lessons learned from our friends in Berlin that may be of benefit to all of us here. And we do hope, again, that the partnership not only strengthen the relationship between the government of Jakarta and Berlin, but also benefit the people of both cities. Allow me to end my remarks here by appreciating everyone involved in this project. And we do hope that your innovation continue, more breakthrough are produced, and that benefits is being welcomed in both cities. Thank you very much. Again, warm regards from Jakarta. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Anies Baswedan, for the keynote speech and also the wonderful welcome and also your support regarding the collaboration to strengthen the startup ecosystem in Jakarta, Pak Anies. And Pak Anies, please do stay with us, because after the next keynote speech, we'd like to kindly invite you again on screen for the official launching ceremony. So ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the next agenda, which is the second keynote speech for this afternoon. Therefore, I would like to invite Ms. Sausan Shebli, who is the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, to join us on screen this afternoon to give the keynote speech. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Ms. Sausan Shebli.
Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Governor Baswedan, ladies and gentlemen. As a Muslim, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Indonesia and Germany have well-established relations on the political, economic, and cultural level. Next year, our countries will celebrate 70 years of diplomatic relations. The best-known partnership is between the capitals of the two countries, Jakarta and Berlin, which has been very active for the last more than 25 years. With many joint events and projects on various topics, we advocate common interests on different levels. With this in mind, I'm also looking forward to working together in the U20 forum, for which Jakarta will head the presidency in 2022. Governor, you mentioned the pandemic and the challenges our countries faced. Also during this time, Berlin stood by Jakarta by supporting each other and sending medical equipment to support Jakarta's hospitals. The mayor of Berlin had an extensive exchange with the mayor of Jakarta to help each other and to exchange ideas and best practices to overcome the crisis. There are many other fields we cooperate. Berlin is striving for long-term cooperation with Jakarta, as its city partner. The close cooperation is an anchor for future smart city activities, as you mentioned, but also with regards to stronger economic exchange between the two cities. For Berlin, Jakarta is the first point of contact for further network throughout Asia. As part of the European Union's call for partnerships for sustainable cities, the Smart Exchange project promotes good governance and sustainable urban development in Jakarta in line with the Agenda 2030 on sustainable development. Berlin's objective is to strengthen the network between the founders in our ecosystems in the future. A startup landing pad should facilitate access to the European market for Indonesian companies, startups, and investors. At the same time, the future city hub planned in Jakarta can serve as a landing pad for German companies, startups, and also investors. The Smart Change project and the program Designer Lab thus make a sustainable contribution to a lively and long-term city partnership. I'm delighted to hear that 25 startup support organizations applied for the PDL. I wish them a very successful launch today and would like to thank all the partners for their strong commitment. I can only underline and say Berlin will continue to strive for stronger cooperation, and we are looking forward to celebrate 70 years of diplomatic affairs and 28 years of our partnership between the cities. Vielen Dank, we say in German, thank you, dan terima kasih. Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih juga. Danke, thank you to Ms. Sausan Shebli for the wonderful and inspiring keynote speech. And yes, as you mentioned before, we do hope that the sister city partnership between Berlin and Jakarta will bring much more impact and also benefit for both of our cities. And once again, as I mentioned before, I would like to kindly re-invite Bapak Anies Baswedan to please join Ms. Sausan Shebli on screen this afternoon, because we will now start the official launch ceremony for the Program Designers Lab. Once again, I would like to kindly invite Pak Anies Baswedan and also Ms. Sausan Shebli to please come on screen, ladies and gentlemen, because this afternoon we will together witness the official launch of the Program Designers Lab. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to pass on the screen to Pak Anies Baswedan and invite him to please give an official remark to officially launch the Program Designers Lab today.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hereby officially launch the Program Designer Lab by Smart Change. May this program be successful. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, with remarks from Pak Anies Baswedan and also Ms. Sausan Shebli and also the official launch Program Designers Lab is now have been officially launched and has officially started. And ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the next agenda, which is the discussion panel, we'd like to ask Pak Anies Baswedan and also Ms. Sausan Shebli to please stay with us once again for just a moment. For next, we will have a photo session, a virtual photo session together with today's speakers of the panel discussion. Therefore, I would like to once again invite Pak Anies Baswedan, Ms. Sausan Shebli, along with our panelists or our speakers for today's panel discussion. The first one, I would like to invite Bapak Yudhistira Nugraha Difil, the Director of Jakarta Smart City, to please join us on screen to prepare for the virtual photo session. Next, we'll also have Bapak Surya Darmadi, the entrepreneurship expert at Smart Change, and also Bapak Arya Satya Dharma, the CEO of PT Prasetia Dwidharma, to please join us on screen for a virtual photo session. Once again, we'd like to please kindly invite and to join us on screen this afternoon for a photo session along with Bapak Anies Baswedan and also Ms. Sausan Shebli, the Governor of Jakarta and also the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, to commemorate this moment by having a virtual photo session together. So I see everyone is now ready and on screen. Therefore, I would like to count down before we take a photo session, and would like to also invite to all of our media partners who are with us today to please prepare yourselves by capturing the screen and also taking a screenshot to help share this good news and also this wonderful start of the discussion. So I would like to start by counting down from 3, 2, 1. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Bapak Anies Baswedan. Thank you, Ms. Sausan Shebli. Thank you, Bapak Yudhistira, Bapak Surya Darmadi, and also Bapak Arya for joining us for the virtual photo session. And would like to also once again thank Bapak Haji Anies Rashid Baswedan, SAMPP PhD, the Governor of Jakarta, and also Ms. Sausan Shebli, the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, for joining us and also supporting this wonderful event. We wish that all of the best for the cooperation between both Jakarta and Berlin, especially regarding the startup and also entrepreneurship ecosystem. So ladies and gentlemen, as we have mentioned before, we will now move on to our next agenda this afternoon, which is the discussion panel with the theme Building a Stronger and Integrated Ecosystem Support for Startups in Jakarta. And as I told you before, we will have 3 outstanding speakers who are with us today. The first is Bapak Yudhistira Nugraha Difil, the Director of Jakarta Smart City, Bapak Surya Darmadi, the entrepreneurship expert at Smart Change, and also Bapak Arya Satya Dharma, the CEO of PT Prasetia Dwidharma. Each speaker, ladies and gentlemen, will be given 10 minutes of presentation, and afterwards, we'll be having 20 minutes of question and answer session after all of the presentations. Therefore, since it's a discussion panel, we would like to invite everyone and encourage everyone to please do propose a question through the Q&A box by typing your name, institution, and to whom the question is addressed to. We will then read the questions after the presentations during the Q&A session.
Recording stopped.
So now we will start the panel discussion for this afternoon. For the first speaker to start
Recording
our
in
discussion,
progress.
I would like to invite on screen Bapak Yudhistira Nugraha Difil, the Director of Jakarta Smart City, to join us this afternoon on screen to present the first presentation for our panel discussion. Good afternoon, Bapak Yudhistira, how are you?
I'm good. Good afternoon, Mbak Sarah. Thank you for inviting us.
And thank you for being here as well, Pak Yudhistira.
Yeah.
So, Pak Yudhistira, we will now pass on the screen to you to give the first presentation to start the panel discussion.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Excellencies Bapak Gubernur and then representative from the Berlin State Secretary, Sausan Shebli. Thank you for the remark to open these programs, and also all the speaker and panelists. Today, we would like to talk about how we build a smart city, because talking about smart city is a very important, because the most successful smart city project or smart city program is require a participant from a diverse stakeholders. I think today we are inviting startup or a student or any other partner to think about how we solve the problem. And today we talk about how we build a smart city 4.0 ecosystem platform that to accelerating startup ecosystem. Next, please. Yeah, talking about what is smart city. It's a very smart city has a different. Smart city is unique. When we're talking about smart city, it depends on who you ask. If you ask smart city to service provider, they may say something about the smart lighting, smart mobility, or anything about related to technology. When we're talking about smart city to the government official, for example, they may say something about how make it the less bureaucracy or something like that. And when we talk about smart city to citizen, I don't think they care about the notion of smart city. They only care about whether or not they can go traveling easily, they can get a job easily, and so forth and so forth. But in this context, we have we have a concept of smart city. One is innovative city, and the second happiness. This is in line with our governor vision and mission. In Bahasa, we call the Maju Kotanya Bahagia Warganya. Next, please. Yeah, this is the framework. This is a framework that we developed in order to understand what is smart city. So by carrying out the concept of Smart City 4.0 framework as a form of translation and the implementation of the governance vision of Innovation City and Happy Citizen, our work has been guided by certain principles to reach our intended outcome. So we can have a look at the framework. So we have 2 smart city and 3 value objective, 4 principle, 5 co-creator, 6 outcome, and 7 indicator. So this principle, so we have 4 principles. One is mobile first, system data driven, and digital experience, and the smart collaboration. So talking about smart city, so the best smart city means that we build the ecosystem instead of we build the project. So we have today, we're happy to have the startup, industry, academia, and so forth and so forth. Next, please. Yeah, today in this pandemic, I think this is very important when we talk about the smart city. So in this ongoing pandemic, a smart city has become a key driving factor for accelerating digital transformation to cope with the COVID-19 crisis. Having said that, when we look at the COVID-19, so we see the problem from health crisis, economic crisis, and anything, and so forth and so forth. But when we see the problem, we can also see the opportunities. So this pandemic, we can use this pandemic, post-pandemic city to accelerate digital transformation. How we can cope with such problem? So how we understand the citizen needs, and how can solving the problem, sizing the opportunities, and put the value on the livelihood. I think this is very important when we want to come up with some ideas or innovation. We have the first of all, we have to understand the citizen need, because citizen need by doing the digital transformation for post-pandemic COVID, the change of behavior transaction is happened. So therefore, we have to understand the citizen need and being a problem solver, and how we size the opportunities and put the value on the livelihood. So this idea, I think Pak Gubernur mentioned about this idea, how we change the city, the future smart city vision, into 4 categories. How to become a city for a pandemic-proof city, resilient to crisis city, digital advanced city, and sustainable and livable city. Next, please. Yeah. So building that, as I said, that the most successful smart city program is require participants from a diverse set of stakeholders. So by introducing the concept of Smart City 4.0, as Pak Gubernur mentioned, that the role of the government as a collaborator and the role of the citizen as a co-creator. Who are the co-creator? Including citizen, academia, media, industry, and other government. Therefore, we can say that smart city is not about the technology plus city. Smart city is about building the ecosystem. A smart city is about building the people connecting to the people, what we call the digital society. People connecting to the business, we call digital economy, and the people connecting to government, we call digital government. Therefore, how we build the ecosystem to achieve vision and mission Jakarta City 4.0 by using technologies, innovation, and collaboration to address city problem and to understand the citizen. But at the end, we achieve to be innovative city and the happy citizen. Next, please. So this is how we build, how we start digitalization, how we start the thinking about the digital transformation. Because when we talk about digital transformation, so the thing is how we deliver better services to our citizens. Think about how a citizen can easily access all the service that provided by the government. We use a concept mobile first and the ecosystem first. So how we can do that? So we can build the ecosystem through data, service, platform, and hub. So when we have the data, we can create services. We can create services by providing secure API. Because when we're talking about the transforming government, it's about how we providing public API that can be accessed by our co-creator, including startup. And by those services, we can integrate those services through the platform and so forth. So this is something that we build through digital transformation initiative in Jakarta. Next, please. Yeah, this is just example talking about digital transformation and talking about the ecosystem. Ecosystem means that how we build the ecosystem. Let's say, for example, Gojek, Grab, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they build their own ecosystem. As a government, we also need to build our ecosystem. Therefore, those services through the ecosystem can be accessed by our citizens. Having said that, the challenges is how those ecosystems can be connecting to each other, because each ecosystem is compete with each other. Let's say, for example, Google compete with Apple, and Apple compete with Microsoft, and so forth and so forth. So therefore, the ecosystem is a key element to implementing smart city, especially in Jakarta. Next, please. So this is something that the use case that we build, how we build digital transformation from birth to the death, how we provide personalized services from the birth to the death. So this is something that we want to deliver better services to our citizens, giving personalized services through our data. By having the data, we can create services. By those services can be used by other co-creators to develop apps, to develop websites, to develop the dashboard, and so forth and so forth. This is something that we think about how we build the digital transformation program in Jakarta. Next, please. Now, we want to introduce Jaki as a government platform. So how we build the Jaki as a government platform? Similar with Grab, Gojek, or Android App Store, and so forth and so forth. The Jaki as a government platform is owned by the Pemprov DKI Jakarta and provided in Jakarta Smart City. So the player in a platform ecosystem is not only built by Jakarta Smart City team, but the producer can also come from other co-creators, including startup. So how those startups can build the services that come into the platform, so the customer, which is citizen, can access the services through the Jaki as a government platform. This is how we build a player ecosystem in building Jaki as a government platform. And we can also say that the Jaki is a collaborative ecosystem platform, because when we talk about Jaki, it's not only designed by government only, but also designed or developed by co-creator. Next, please. This is some feature. So if you have a Jackie and on your hand, you can access diverse services that can not only developed by government but also developed by co-creator. We collaborate with some startup and a digital company, including Gojek, Notflag, and so forth and so forth. Next. And this is the key slide point about the smart collaboration, how we collaborating with co-creator to provide various solutions. And in the coming years, we want to build the future city hub. So this hub is basically to understand and to build the innovation ecosystem to give the multiplier and help test innovation digital technology to our societies or communities and so forth and so forth. We also provide the playground, co-develop, customer, and collaborative sandbox. A collaborative sandbox is a platform for a problem owner and problem solver to provide a various solution for Jakarta services. I think that's it. Thank you. Next slide. Yeah, this is something that how we move from the ecosystem to the ecosystem. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bapak Yudhistira, for the first presentation and also by opening our panel discussion for this afternoon. And once again, if you have any questions regarding Bapak Yudhistira's presentation, we do please encourage you to write down your question in the Q&A box, and we will have the question and answer session after all three presentations have been presented. Thank you, Pak Yudhistira. Please do stay with us for the question and answer session, which we'll be having afterwards after all of the presentations being presented. Next, we will move on to our next panelist and our next speaker, which is Bapak Surya Darmadi, entrepreneurship expert at Smart Change, to please join us on screen to prepare to present the second presentation. Good afternoon, Bapak Surya Darmadi.
Good afternoon, Sarawin, and thank you for allowing me to share my presentation.
It's a pleasure, Pak Surya Darmadi. Please do carry on with your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I maybe would like to ask for the organizer helps for the presentation. So yes, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending the session. So I'm Surya Darmadi, representing Smart Change. This is a collaboration between the city of Jakarta and the city of Berlin with the funding from the European Union. So if I may go to the next slide. I'll start with why we are here. If I can take your 5 seconds, if you can close your eyes for 5 seconds, if you can imagine what's the future of Jakarta in your head, how does it look like? Yeah, I assume you guys have very different view of what the future looks like and how do you want it to be. And there is a gap between what you expected versus what you see in the reality. And on the other side of the table, I'm very grateful. There are 23 organizations coming today to support the transformation. So on the other side of the table, we understand there are many experts are able to share their wisdom, their expertise, their knowledge, where it can make the change so much easier. And if I can go to the next slide. And what kind of change that we want to happen, right? We recently developed a survey to 323 business people. So these entrepreneurs, they are coming from variety of industry, from startup, from the F&B, etc. And we see a pattern here, like everybody wanted the ease to get the market access, the ease to hire the right people for their organization, the ease to discover the right technology, because, you know, as much as it's so cool to adopt new technology and innovation, it's not very easy to implement or maybe to onboard the technology in the first place, right? So, and this is why we're very happy to receive a variety of support from 23 support organizations, startup support organizations from different perspectives. There are incubator, there are investor, there are university, and we see those 23 organizations and more to come may add on their expertise and may able to break down those challenges that we face and really help us to develop the future that we want to develop, right? If I go to the next slide, please. And definitely facing all these challenges will take a lifetime, or maybe the next generation lifetime if we do it alone. However, perhaps we can still see our family, our next generation in the future to really able to enjoy the future that we expected, right? And definitely we are here to need the ecosystem to develop a pipeline to invite all of you to participate. And this is where the cycle can move on. When you participate, you can initiate something great. And when you initiate something great, we can see the propagation really happen in the field. And this is why we are collaborating with Jakarta Smart City closely. To the next slide, please. And we understand every company, every entrepreneur, no matter who you are, you have very different journey. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go? But we all want the same thing. We want the prosperity. We want a better future. We want the peace, at least. And therefore, through the collaboration that we are hosting today, we foresee how the ecosystem can provide the facility and therefore make it easy for the beginners, whoever they are, to get on that ladder, to success, to get on that ladder to perhaps lend your expertise, to perhaps have a meaningful conversation, perhaps to have a feedback, a brainstorming with feedback. And we foresee those elements are very important so we can develop a prototype for the future city solution. If I, maybe let me focus for a minute. And in Smart Change, what we provide here is we bring ecosystem player to develop a accelerator program. And on top of that, we have the Jakarta-Berlin connection, where the expertise is not limited to the people in the local only, but also in the regional. We also see a importance of connecting with not only investor, but also the talent network. We also foresee a importance in developing a prototype where that's why there are other programs in Smart Change related to providing you the right information, to provide you the knowledge through the online learning center, online learning content, and so forth and so forth. If I can go to the next slide, please. So no matter who you are, whether you are an entrepreneur, if you're not an entrepreneur yet, don't worry. If you are just starting up, if you're a musician, if you're a housewife, no matter who you are, you can join our program. You can get the support system that we develop here. In the past, we have also invited the Pak Anies, Gubernur DKI Jakarta, and inviting many other support support mentor from many other regions as well, where we we really go into the practicality to really understand what is the data that we have right now in Smart City, Jakarta Smart City, in terms of facing the challenges. What is the real solution what are the relevant solutions that we can develop nowadays? Everything changed after the pandemic. Definitely the new system require new solution as well. And that is why we are building the network. If I can go to the next slide. So right now, we have been working with 20-ish companies, 20-ish organizations from many different industry, where we foresee in the future, maybe you can fill in the network. Maybe you can be the next circle. Maybe you can be the anchor for your own neighborhood, for your own ecosystem. And that is why I'm really grateful to have your attention today, to really have your participation to initiate the propagation. That's all from me. To the next slide. Thank you. And you can reach out to me in that email. I'll pass it to the organizer.
Thank you, Bapak Surya Darmadi, for the presentation. And once again, we'd like to please invite you to please stay with us for the question and answer session, which we will be having after the third or the last presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, we will continue our presentation session for the panel discussion. Our third panelist is the representative of the organizer, Bapak Arya Setia Dharma, who is the CEO of PT Prasetia Dwidharma. So now we'd like to invite Pak Arya Setia Dharma to please join us on screen. Good afternoon, Pak Arya, how are you?
Good afternoon, Sarah Wayne. Thank you for the time. Thank you for hosting this as well.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Pak Arya. So without further ado, please do carry on with your presentation. The time and screen is yours.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for this launching of this great program. This program is called Program Designers Lab, and today I just want to present a little bit what is Program Designers Lab. Next, please. Yeah, just a little bit of the content. Next, please. So yeah, thank you, Pak Yudhistira, and thank you, Pak Surya, for explaining about Jakarta Smart City and also what Smart Change is. So Program Designers Lab is part of the Smart Change project funded by European Union, as mentioned by Pak Surya, and Ecosystem and Prasetia, we're the partners to implement the program. So a little bit of Prasetia, we were founded in 2008, and we started to invest in tech companies since 2016, and we've invested in about 100 companies, which is 60 in Indonesia and 40 abroad, outside of Indonesia. A little bit of Ecosystem. Ecosystem is a venture builder specializing in climate tech verticals. Ecosystem enables ecopreneurs to solve climate challenges at scales and work with entrepreneurs through their development stages with venture building methodology. Next, please. So why did we develop this program? I mean, SSO have been emerging over the past few years. SSO meaning Startup Support Organization. It has grown in the past couple of years, and many of these SSOs are supporting different types of startups. You know, they're trying that the startups trying to create better governance, mobility, environment, economy, people, and living, which is in line with Pak Yudhistira mentioned about the Jakarta Smart City pillars. And what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to empower entrepreneurs, the SSO, with better tools, capabilities, budgeting framework, and networks to enhance the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we're also trying to synergize and harmonize the program design between the ecosystem support players, develop more innovative and sustainable entrepreneurship programs in Jakarta post-COVID-19. Next, please. So what is the program looks like, right? I guess this SSO will join actually three bootcamps. Each bootcamp will consist of 1 week of 3 days of online classes, which includes masterclass, online exchange, and workshop and discussions. And we have 2 days of independent work, which the goal is to formulate and also develop the joint action plans or commitment to formulate the program. Next, please. So about the timeline, right now we're at the launch of Program Designers Lab, which is on September 14. We already opened the registration, and right now we're trying to start with the first bootcamp, which will take place in the 20th till the 24th of September. And then the second bootcamp will start on the October 4th till October 8th. And the last bootcamp, bootcamp 3, will start on the 18th of October until 22nd of October. And then we'll have the closing ceremony on November 11th. Next, please. As you can see, we have participants from across industries. We have government entities, we have universities as well, and we have startup accelerators such as Plug and Play, and then we also have angel investor networks such as Angin. And I guess with all this support from the government, from the education, from the universities, we will try to enable these participants to have better program for the startups in the future. Next, please. As mentioned earlier by Pak Yudhistira, that we have the Smart City 4.0 framework, the new one, and from the participants, we see that 96% of these participants have programs that are aligned with the Smart City 4.0 framework. So hopefully with the collaboration with the Jakarta Smart City, a lot of the new startups can have better traction or better collaboration as well in developing the products to have innovative products for Jakarta Smart City and probably later for Indonesia as a whole. Next, please. Some of the target participants of these SSOs are targeting MSME and also startups as well. I mean, of course, startups and SMEs have different kind of framework in terms of developing the product, but it's good that we have several participants from the startups, but also the MSME, because I guess that's the core to help this early stage, and a lot of the social enterprises, a lot of the social entrepreneurs, they need help in terms of the government support as well. Next, please. So from our findings from the focus group with the participants, we find that SSOs face a lot of issues. So the first one is how they source their target participants. And the second one is how they find investment and sustainable funding to basically to fund their program. And the third one is how to unlock collaboration potential within the ecosystem, let's say with the Jakarta Smart City or other ecosystem, with the, let's say, corporates and others. So that's another problem. And the fourth problem is how to source and groom these entrepreneurs. And the last one is how to design the most effective and impactful program. So I guess for this fifth problem is where we will try from this programmers designers lab, we will try to improve on how they design the most effective and impactful program. These issues are even more challenging in the era of pandemic. Next, please. Yeah, as you know, SSO is very critical in our effort to empower entrepreneurship ecosystem in cities, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So to make this SSO successful, we need to assist, to navigate government support and peer-to-peer collaboration so that they can achieve their maximum potential across the value chain. So with this collaboration, thank you to Berlin as well, and to also Jakarta Smart City. We hope that we can be the bridge between SSO and then the startups, the MSMEs, with the government as well. Next, please. So what are the benefits for the program participants? The first one is certification from Smart Change and Jakarta Smart City. And the second is networking with branding opportunities. The third is highly practical materials and international program practice. And proposed certification project collaboration, donor matchmaking during closing conference, and landing pad facilitation to Berlin and Bangkok. And of course, the last one will be the program support from Make IT Alliance for the winner of the collaborative project plan. So that's it from me, and on behalf of Prasetia and Ecosystem, thank you again for everyone who has contributed to this launch of Program Business Lab, and thank you, danke, terima kasih.
Thank you. Terima kasih, Bapak Arya, for the presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the third presentation. And Pak Arya, we'd like to ask you to please stay with us, for we will now continue to the question and answer session. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now continue to our question and answer session. Once again, we'd like to invite everyone, if you do have a question that we would like to propose to our panelists, please do so by typing in your name, your question, and also your institution in the Q&A box. And we will be reading your question and answer during the session, your questions, in our session that will start shortly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just jump right into it. We would like to kindly invite all the panelists to please stay with us again on screen for the question and answer session. And since we are here today, we are ready with our panelists. I would like to start right away by asking Pak Yudhistira. Pak Yudhistira, can you please tell us exactly a more specific plan, especially regarding the Pemprov Jakarta, the government of Jakarta, who has prepared to leverage or strengthen the cooperation between EU, Berlin, and Jakarta through this program, through the Program Designers Lab, especially and how to make this program sustainable and benefit the two cities.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Sarah. So this program, I think, collaborating with the EU Commission. So basically, we have twofold. One is how we build the startup ecosystem, and the second one is strengthen the digital government. So those two objectives, basically, we start by building smart city. Where, as I said, that smart city is not about technology. Smart city is about ecosystem, building the people. I think it's in line with the question from Pak Reno Rinaldi. So when we're talking about how we solve the problem, how we build the ecosystem, how we provide a better solution to our citizen. So the first of all, we need to understand the citizen need. So by using design thinking, when we provide the solution, we have to think about the customer oriented. We have to think from the government centric, from user centric. This is what we're doing now in Jakarta. So we see the solution, the problem, the solution is not only come from the government only, but the solution can come from other stakeholders, from diverse participant or diverse stakeholder. So we come up so I think what we're doing now with the Berlin government is how we build the ecosystem. Let's say Mbak Sarah, because smart city is not about project. Smart city is about how we build the ecosystem to sustain, because when we have the ecosystem, we can make sure that the project or the product can be sustained in the future. And then in line with the first question from Pak Reno, how the young generation prepare in order to build the business or the innovation and so forth. First of all, they have to think about the problem. They need to born as the problem solver. So because there's three stages that I always think about. First is how we define the problem. When we can define the problem completely better, we can provide the good innovation. When we have a good innovation, we can promote, we can accelerate, or we can give a concrete impact to citizens. So again, defining the problem, think about the problem, how we provide our problem statement, because when we have a clear problem, real problem, we can provide the real solution, real innovation. And when we have a real innovation or concrete innovation, we can also give a real impact to our citizens. And the last point, I just want to say that investing smart city or investing the design lab is also promote the creation of the startup ecosystem and the investment. As I said in my slide, so how we build the ecosystem, how we can solve the city problem. Let's say, for example, transport, public transport, medical services, traffic jam, and so forth and so on. We in this context, we want to encourage the startup as our co-creator to be engine to provide the public services, to be engine as a problem solver. So we by building the ecosystem, we want to encourage the young generation or potential entrepreneur to be the problem solver for building a smart city in Jakarta. Thank you.
Smart city, which you have just mentioned, is the ecosystem and not merely the technology that many have yet to understand and to implement in their daily lives. Thank you, Pak Yudhistira. And next, I would like to also push more on Pak Surya Darmadi. Pak Surya, what is the perspective of the smart change towards today and also the upcoming potential of the smart ecosystem here in Jakarta, especially? What is the expectations and what can happen, or what benefits can we see, especially in the collaboration project between the local authorities in Jakarta and Berlin? Because you mentioned about greatness and initiating greatness. What potential can we see and can we bring to the table?
Thank you very much, Sarah. So from Smart Change, we are here because we, starting from the sister city collaboration, we foresee the importance of installing a practice of good governance and also the practice of developing the entrepreneurship further to develop the strength of the entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur. So there definitely many like unlimited potential you can develop in there, but we definitely want to start with the priority, right? So we'll start with what's the lowest hanging fruit. And that's why, well, today is one example. With the launch of the PDL 23 organization come together, and they're like the creme de la creme of the ecosystem already. They've been there, like maybe some of them already 30 years ahead of of the tech time. Maybe unconsciously they're developing towards that way, right? So today is one example of getting the support. And as I said, with the participation, we can initiate something great, right? As what we can see through the pandemic, it is challenging to transfer the interaction, the engagement, the relationship, what we usually do in a cafe, in a very casual setting, into a screen setting. A lot of people don't know how to adapt with the new interaction, right? And that is also one way, one thing that we try to navigate through many programs. How do we still able to support the ecosystem, to support the community, and also to support the entrepreneur through buffers? Like, what do I mean by buffers? We are very grateful to find many great partners in our program. Prasetia is one, Ecosystem is another one, where they can, through their network, through their expertise, they can easily translate what do we actually mean. What is smart city? What does it take to build one? What does it take to build something so big that you don't know where to start, right? But because we have this great partner, they know how to translate that by breaking it down into a simple, understandable concept. And that's also another contribution that we feel need to be continued in the ecosystem, right? In the end, we, this pandemic may or may not be over. We don't know, but we are still, we have adapted with this kind of lifestyle. So from our Smart Change, our perspective is how can we still break the barrier of communication and still strengthen the collaboration, not only from the local region, but also the international region. That's the perspective.
All right. Thank you, Pak Surya, for sharing that with us. Next, we would like to ask Pak Arya this time to please tell us your insights regarding the findings from the organizer that has been collected through the FGDs and also the SSOs, especially regarding the challenges and the opportunities. How can we align this with the vision of the government of Jakarta, of Pemprov Jakarta? And especially, how can this be supported in creating, as mentioned before, a sustainable ecosystem?
Thank you, Sarah. So I think there's the question from Reynolds as well regarding how optimistic do you see the program Designers Lab can bring impact, especially toward the startup ecosystem in Jakarta. I guess it kind of relates to that question as well, because I think by having this program, we create visibility for the programs to the governments and also the corporates. And by having this, why this is important, I think it's because governments and the corporates, they need to know what are this program doing, right? And especially for, let's say, for funding for these programs, which are usually non-profit, they need to get sponsorship as well from the governments and also from the corporates. And I think that solves that one problem of finding investment and how to be sustainable for the program itself. The second thing, I think, when you're talking about how this will help the SSOs in terms of finding companies or startups that will be beneficial to the government, I guess it goes both ways, right? Because by collaborating with the Jakarta Smart City, we know what is the problem that is still unsolved, and that's always something that I always try to discuss or give feedback to startup founders, is that you need to find industries or within that industry, you need to find problems that is big enough and unsolved. And having the partnership with Jakarta Smart City, we definitely need, we'll have a lot of information on what are the problems in Jakarta Smart City, what are the problems in Jakarta, in all areas of Jakarta, and how technology can help solve these problems. So having this partnership, it will definitely streamline all the information from the end users and to the startups so that they can build better products, better solutions.
Better products and better solutions. Thank you, Pak Arya, for the question, for the answer. Next, we would like to jump in from the questions that have been proposed by the participants of the panel discussion. I have with me right now the first question that I would like to read is for Pak Yudhistira and also Pak Surya. So Pak Yudhistira and Pak Surya, please do prepare yourself. This question is from Augie Hansa. The question is, how will the co-creation process be? Will the co-creator or co-collaborator be allowed to keep their identity or brand within Jaki? So probably, how can we see the potential integration from startups to the innovation for the government of Jakarta? What is the first step? So probably, maybe Pak Yudhistira can answer the question first.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Sarah. It's a very interesting question. So I think in terms of the co-creation ecosystem, as we said that on our presentation, Jaki is a government platform. It's not only developed by the government only, but also can be developed by co-creator, citizen. So how co-creator can contribute to the platform. As I said, so Jaki as a government platform, so the features or the applications can be developed by co-creator. So we can build together as a co-creation. Let's say, for example, some features basically built through the collaboration. Let's say we have a JAK CLM. CLM is a corona likelihood metric. So this feature or this application is a co-creation together with a student from the Harvard, Jakarta Smart City, and a digital company. So we create together. So of course logo and of course symbol or any logo and anything we put together. So those services can be we put those services in through Jaki, so the citizen can access those services. This is one scheme. There's another scheme. So therefore, when we're talking about the co-creation scheme, so first of all we also talk about the business model, because how we build the business model. Let's say, for example, when talking about the Gojek, how Gojek can integrate with Gomet, with Halodoc or any other thing. It's similar thing that we are building in Jaki. So we can also work together with startup to build services that can be accessed by our citizen. So let's say, for example, we can build, let's say, for example, the startup can build the back end. We and Jakarta Smart City build the front end in technically, but there's many ways to collaborate, to co-create the solution that we put it through Jaki, so people can access those services. I think we have some rules, some model, Mbak Sarah, so we can discuss later. But again, it depends on the problem that we want to address. Because when we build the features or when we build the solution, we think about what the problem, how we understand the citizen. So this is something that concept about how we use the design thinking to create, to develop the services that can be accessed, that can be used by our citizens. So understanding citizen need, solving the problem, sizing the opportunities, and lastly, put the value on the livelihood, because it's very important, because how we build the service that can use on daily basis. This is something that we need to think about it. Thank you, Mbak Sarah.
All right, thank you, Pak Yudhistira, for the answer. Next, we'd like to also pass on to Pak Surya to answer the question from Augie Hansa.
Let me read So from Augie Hansa, all right. So how the co-creation process.
Yes.
Right. So through Smart Change, what we have developed is a recently an accelerator program where we are currently scouting the startup that can face the challenges in smart mobility, in living environment, etc. And I think when we talk about co-creation, so there are minimum two parties participate in that creation, right? We are also inviting the mentors. Let's say if from smart mobility, we would invite people from, let's say, MRT, let's say from Jakarta, also people who really understand the engineering, perhaps mechanics as well, or maybe people from Gojek who really rethink what is the mobility looking like in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So pulling people together from diverse background, from diverse expertise, that's like one process. The other one, I think Jackie, Pak Yudis also already answered that. But yeah, that's regarding the solution for smart city. That's like how we foster the solution. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Pak Surya, for the answer. Next, we will continue the question and answer session with the next question that has been directed to the panelists from the participants. And this one is for Pak Arya from Abdul from Suara Investor. Pak Arya, the question is, there are 3 points of the questions, so please, probably you can write them down. How long will this Program Designers Lab will be running? What is the challenges for this project? And why is this project only for Jakarta?
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So we have started this project since July. And as you know, today is just the launch of the program, and we will continue with, like I presented before, the 3 bootcamps, and we will end in November. And for the second question, what are the challenges for this project? I guess with us being online, I guess that will be the biggest challenge, because the interaction will be quite limited, and we need the full support from the participants as well to attend the bootcamps, and participate in the bootcamps as well. I guess with this limitation of online, that will be the biggest challenge as well. And the third one is, why this project only for Jakarta? I guess to think like a startup, right? Where when we launch a product, we need to launch where we understand best and also the most ready market. So we think that Jakarta right now is the most ready in terms of Jakarta Smart City, and also the ecosystem. So it makes sense for us to launch this project in Jakarta. But it doesn't mean that we're going to stop there. So the next, we already have plans to expand this project to tier 2, tier 3 cities as well.
Jakarta is just the start for the next projects and the wonderful projects to come. Thank you, Pak Arya. Next is another question to all the panelists. My name is from Rizky from Endeavor Indonesia, and the question is for all the panelists. Probably since due to the time limit, I would like to also kindly ask the panelists to please keep your answers briefly to answer this question from Rizky. Today's condition, we know there's a lot of problems from every stakeholders in this country, with lack of numbers of the startups, the politics, and also the non-agility. What is the concrete move that you want to do? Not a plan, but a concrete execution, especially when the SSO can support. Probably we can start from Pak Yudhistira. What concrete execution can be done?
Sorry, say again, Mbak.
What kind of concrete execution can be done to tackle the problems from the stakeholders of the country with the lacking numbers of startups, the politics, and the non-agility? How can we improve the situation? Not a plan, but what kind of concrete execution?
Okay, this is this is a very tough question, I think. But I think similar what Surya mentioned about, we start from the low-hanging fruit. I think this is something that is important, because when we collaborate with people, when we collaborate with co-creator or any other thing, we start very small thing, and then but we think of big. So start from small, and we measure whether or not the initiative that we have done can be implemented well, can be effective, and can be useful for our citizens. Because this is very important. I think this is something that I think we discussed with Masura and other smart chain program. I think start from low-hanging fruit, start from very small thing, but have a big impact. I think because if we start, okay, smart city, digital transformation, it is too big. But how we build something that can be useful for our citizens, that can be impact to the livelihood on the daily basis of our citizens. I think this is my opinion, Mbak Sarah. But I think the concrete initiative, the concrete commitment, or the concrete program, I think start from very small but have a big impact to our citizens. Thank you.
Small but with great impact for the citizens.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we would like to ask Pak Surya, what concrete execution can be done to tackle the problems that is being faced in today's challenge?
Okay, I think we cannot address every problem in the country. We are still focusing on how do we develop the ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem. If we limit the scope, then literally concrete, we are currently developing the Future City Hub. It's a studio for the landing pad where a solution from Berlin can also be implemented in Jakarta, where people can adopt new technology from Berlin and vice versa. People from Berlin can also adopt the technology from Jakarta. So it's a concrete building, actually, literally concrete. And the second part, I think there are many others that are concrete. So, you know, this discussion, this forum doesn't seem like it's going somewhere. It's not something that you can touch. But through this discussion, you get the meaningful conversation. You get what's the conclusion. You get what's the next plan, right? You get a proposal. You get perhaps funding. So that's the real, right? And the third one, just one example, we're currently building a learning platform where anybody, any entrepreneur, any wannabe entrepreneur can come and watch what does it take to build a company, or maybe what does it take to build a company, but what does it take to build a product first. So those is also concrete execution that we have done, and there are many things to come. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Stay tuned. All right, thank you, Pak Surya. And Pak Arya, what concrete executions from your point of view can be done to tackle the problems we are facing today?
So I think Rizky mentioned that there are lack of numbers of startup, right? I have to beg to differ that I think the number of startups, or at least the aspiring entrepreneurs in Indonesia, are abundance, but I guess the lack of quality, you know, I think that's what we're trying to focus on, how to find quality startups. And I guess when you asking like what is the concrete execution to solve this, I guess this program Designers Lab is exactly what we're trying to do, and we're executing it by collaborating with the government as well, so that the SSOs can collaborate with the government and have this more concrete solutions for the startups. So I guess we start with this PDL, program, so that we can enable the SSOs to support the government as well.
Okay, we start with this and to enable the SSOs to help the government. All right, now to end the question and answers session, I would like to ask to all the panelists to please give a closing statement or a short remark to wrap up our discussion this afternoon. Pak Yudhistira, you may go first. Just a brief statement for everyone here today, this afternoon.
Okay, after all, when we're talking about smart city, so we have three objectives. how we increase the quality of life, how we improve the economic growth and the sustainable environment. But I think when we're talking about smart city, the most successful smart city project require participants from a diverse of stakeholders. Because talking about smart city is not about project, but it's about ecosystem. But talking about smart city is about the power of citizen participation. Again, require participants from a diverse of stakeholders, including startup, media, academia, other industry, government, and so forth and so forth. And then lastly, again, investing smart city. When you invest in smart city ecosystem, will promote the creation of the startup ecosystem and the investment. So when we invest the smart city ecosystem, will promote the creation of the startup ecosystem and of course an investment. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pak Yudhistira. Next, Pak Surya, what can be taken away from our discussion today? A closing, a short, brief remark from you,
Thank
please.
you. Yeah, I think simply put, we all have our dreams and we all want to make it happen. We want a better future for Jakarta, but we also have to make it happen. So let's make it happen.
All right. Short and simple, let's make it happen. Thank you, Pak Surya. And Pak Arya, what do you have to say for us today as a closing statement to wrap up our discussion?
Yeah, so thank you, Sarah. So I guess for me, I just want to wish the program best and thank you for Pak Yudhistira and from Jakarta Smart City for the support as well. Thank you for ecosystem to help in terms of this launching of this program. And also thank you to Surya from Smart Change that have supported the program from the initial start. And hopefully this program can really help in terms of helping entrepreneurs, helping the SSOs, and helping the government to become a better ecosystem, just like what Jakarta is, Pak Anies Baswedan wants to happen as well. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, Sarah, as well.
Thank you, Pak Arya. And ladies and gentlemen, as to the limited time that we have this afternoon, that was the end of our question and answer session and also the end of our panel discussion. I would like to say thank you for your wonderful participation and your enthusiasm. I would like to apologize if you did propose a question, but we did not have the chance to read it to our panelists or our speakers. Once again, thank you for your participation. And I would like to also thank all of our speakers and panelists for sharing their insights with us this afternoon. Thank you, Pak Yudhistira, Pak Surya, and also Pak Arya. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of the question and answer session this afternoon, we have also come to the end of today's program. I would like to thank Bapak Haji Anies Rashid Baswedan, SAMPP PhD, the Governor of Jakarta, and also Ms. Sausan Shebli, who have joined us earlier today. Ms. Sausan Shebli, the Berlin State Secretary for International Affairs, who have joined us earlier at this program and who have officially launched the Program Designers Lab. We'd like to also once again thank all the panelists from Jakarta Smart City, Smart Change, and also Prasetia Dwidharma. We'd like to also thank the support that has been given from the provincial government of Jakarta, Jakarta Smart City, Smart Change, European Union, Berlin Senate, and also GIZ Indonesia. Thank you to Prasetia Dwidharma and also Ecosystem for organizing this event in collaboration with Bahasa Global and also Fleshman Hillard. And also we'd like to thank all the participants and also the audiences, Startup Sport Organization, and also our media partners for today's program. On behalf of the organizer, I, Sarah Wayne, would like to say thank you once again and see you at our bootcamp and also closing ceremony. Please do stay safe, stay healthy, and see you again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.